Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 315, The Truth Will Set You Free. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host. I'm so thrilled to be with you this morning as we're celebrating freedom this month in the US of A. And I'm here with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. Happy July 1st. I can't believe it. You know what tomorrow is? Do you know what tomorrow is? July 2nd?
What?
It's my birthday.
Oh, is it your birthday?
It is.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah.
Very good,
July,
Sean.
baby. Almost July 4th. Almost a firecracker, baby. But so happy to be here with you this morning. Of course, it is Monday, July 1st. Today is episode 315 of the Experience of the Soul podcast. And today we are talking about how the truth will set you free. Before we get rolling into that, of course, we want to say a big, huge thank you again to all of you who are keeping us going. We are still in our $9,000 in 90-day campaign, and we keep continuing to get support from that.
Right.
It really just means the world to us, right?
Right, we're almost a third of the way there, and often the most of the donations, will come in the last month of the campaign. So we do thank you in advance for that, and it's pretty amazing. I was just sharing with Sean that we are able to pay our bills, we're able to stay on the air, and we know we're making a difference in people's lives because our listenership keeps growing, and it keeps growing around the world. And that brings us to a shout out, right, Sean?
That's right. Yeah, big shout out today.
To Finland. Finland. And, I've actually met two guys from Finland, and they were like the sweetest men and actually very tall. They were practically 7 feet tall. I was like,
whoa.
You just grow them big in Finland. But anyway, thank you, friends in Finland. We were, looking at the map earlier, and I was lifting you up, and I know Helsinki, I think, is the capital, actually. I thought it was, but I had to double check it. It's been a while since I've looked at Finland on a map, but Northern European nation. So we're lifting you up. We're supporting you. I know you're surrounded with beauty and lots of ski resorts probably, and incredible museums and beautiful people. So thank you so much for listening. The men I met were men of peace and love and collaboration. So I have a very good feeling about Finland, and am delighted to know, friends, that you are listening and that we're supporting your journey. It's awesome. And hey, do me a favor, take a picture, send it to us. Let us know who you are. Comment on YouTube, whatever way you want to connect, or even join our new online community. We'd love to have you be a part of it. And what's so amazing is it's a 24-hour-a-day community. People are already posting all times of the day or night, and we'd love to have you join us in that.
Yeah, we are about 30 days in, about a month in now to our new community called Soulworks. And if you're interested in joining, you can just go to my.soulworkscommunity.com, and that link will be in the show notes as well for you. And of course, it is completely accessible for, it's free for all. And then there is that, that paid level that gets you a little bit deeper and gets you some more meditations and that type of thing. So come on over and join us in Soulworks. We're having a great time over there. It really is awesome to watch it grow. And so that's my shout out for today, is all of the people that have joined the community so far in the first month. We really appreciate you being there. We appreciate the engage. It's so different, isn't it? Than on Facebook or anything else.
The energy is so clear and so spiritual and so positive. I'm like, I wish I would have known I could do this 10 years ago. I mean, I would have avoided some of that other stuff.
Some of the other things
because of how positive it is. I this morning, today is really like you say, we've been doing it a month, but when it was first coming out, in the first day, even before it went live, I texted a few friends and said, let me know what you think, any feedback. And on the very first day, I saw people who, I've never seen connect on social media. We're saying, have a great day, man. I'm lifting you up. Love you. Appreciate you. Sharing music. I shared a couple of songs that lift me up. I mean, it's just an incredible supportive community.
It is very true, and I think you're just seeing everything. I think that's the thing with Facebook. I think people missed a lot of the stuff that we were putting out there because it didn't get fed into the
Facebook algorithm.
Right.
We're removing the power from Facebook and taking it back and starting our own community. And thrilled it's out there because you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. But this is just like
it's a whole different.
Yeah. It's a whole different gear, friends. Ads, no bots, no weird comments. Anybody that knows me well knows I don't put up with nonsense, and there's not going to be political stuff on here. This is a spiritual page.
Yes.
And if somebody posts that, it's going to be an immediate, well, that's just not what, but spiritual exploration, ask your questions. We don't mind if you are in other spiritual backgrounds. As a matter of fact, I love it. You could be Catholic. You could be Baptist. You could be Muslim. You could be Christian. You could be Jewish. We want to lift each other up and build understanding, collaboration, communication. I mean, this is what it's all about. And so far, the energy is fabulous. And then the Monday nights, too, I'll be doing a live talk. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. And so if you're in a different time zone, the great news is it'll all be archived. So you can go get it. You're not going to miss anything. But I decided to do something live because I like to connect with people. So, some of my resistance to some of the online stuff is I was feeling disconnected, so this is really, really great.
And I think people are loving that. I think that, people were so excited about the opportunity to ask questions at the end of a talk, which is something you never get to do on a Sunday morning or really,
right.
Any other time you give a talk. So to have that opportunity, I think is turning out to be huge for people.
Oh, I agree. Well, the ideas, that are presented, maybe they're presented in a different way, and then people can take them more deeply, work with it, and then come back the next week and even share. So we really want to be growing spiritually. And I have said before that this show in particular as well, it's really about lifting the consciousness for all of us to bring us peace, to bring us joy, to bring us understanding, to make life a little bit easier so that we can move through with more ease and grace instead of everything being hard, everything being about raging against something, everything being about anger. We're taking the opposite approach, that when we center in God, when we seek to live from love, when we seek to live a spiritual life gets better. And I've seen it over and over and over. So I know that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the truth. And you know what they say about the truth?
It will set you free, baby. That was quite a segue.
Thank you.
Like a real professional. Yes. Today, the title of the show is
The Truth Will Set You Free.
The Truth Will Set You Free. And friends, I love this topic. I have to admit that I get up every morning excited to bring spiritual teachings and spiritual truth. And this is a big one. I have known this one spiritually. I've known it on my personal and emotional journey. I've known it in every aspect of my life as a parent as well. So the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. This, of course, is a statement from the Bible. It is a statement from Jesus, and it's from the Gospel of John. And it's funny because I'm coming off of teaching a Bible class, and the Gospel of John is often called the signs gospel. It's often called the mystical gospel or the mystic gospel. Some even call it the metaphysical gospel. And there's a lot of mysticism. For instance, even the birth story in John is not a normal birth story. It's in the beginning was the Word. It's a very mystical idea of the birth. So the Gospel of John is chock full of incredible teachings, and this is one of them. This is from John chapter 8, and I'm going to read from the New International Version, and I might have Sean read this at the very end too. He has such a soothing voice. But Jesus is attributed as saying in John 8, 31 and 32, "If you hold on to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. And I love that. And again, that's New International Version. So to me, what Jesus is talking about here is truth from the highest level. You will know the truth. But remember, there's the first part of that. If you hold on to my teachings, you are really my disciples. And what were Jesus's teachings? Love one another, love your enemies, right? Helping those in need. All kinds of things from the scriptures. And Jesus is saying there is a higher consciousness that we are to live from. And that is the higher truth. If you hold on to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so traditionally, if you grew up in church, you heard that, the only way to salvation is through Jesus. And Jesus even himself said, I have no power but from God. But we know Jesus was the Christ. We know Jesus overcame death. So I remember my conversion experience as a teenager, me just thinking, I really want to know Jesus and I want to accept him into my heart. And the more I studied, the more I've learned about the Bible, the more I've learned about the Jesus teaching is, even though that was a really important step in my journey, that there is more to Jesus than just an acceptance. There is a living out that truth in the world. And that is what I now know as the Christ, and that the Christ is bigger even than Jesus. The Christ is the essence of God that is everywhere, that was known so perfectly in Jesus. So that truth that we are seeking to live from, that truth that is one with all, that truth that can overcome death, that is the truth that will set us free. That said, what I have learned in all of my study of Jesus's teachings is that virtually everything Jesus said is true on every level. And I think he was so wise, obviously, in the way he taught to the people of the day, because in any given setting, he usually had religious leaders because of the fear and concern about what he was saying, trying to understand who he was. And then you had common people who could neither read nor write, the fishermen of the day and things of that nature. So he was always speaking in very high truth in very simple terms so that we could understand, what he was saying, no matter where we are on the journey. And friends, still today, scholars with 2 and 3 doctorates and the basic person who cleans for a living are still all studying Jesus, trying to figure out what he meant. So we're in good company. And what I know is that whatever level we understand is good. It's holy. And I have learned it's true. What Jesus was saying is true on every level. If we know the truth will set us free. If we hold on to the teachings to what we know, that truth will set us free. So there's a lot about that we want to think about and kind of unpack. One is, as people developing and growing, we take on the identity of a particular, often it's of a particular place in our family. Sometimes we take on the identity of what we do for a living. This is very tempting as a minister. I was just talking to a minister friend about how people don't realize that we're just normal people who have to do laundry and get things done around the house, as well as trying to inspire people on a weekly basis, daily basis, in some cases with people like me. So, but sometimes we can get overly attached to the outer aspect of us, and what Jesus is saying with hold on to my teachings, you are my disciples. This truth will set you free. It is the inner reality, this inner knowing, this interconnectedness with God, with the Christ, with all that is the ultimate truth. In other words, the things of this world fade, right? The things of this world fade. And gosh, that's reminding me of a scripture from Matthew about where rust rust consumes and things like that. The things of this earth will fade, including our personality selves, including ourselves that are attached to the outer, that we think if we can just look good enough, drive the right thing, own the right thing, be in the right place with the right people, that this will somehow bring us freedom and happiness. And Jesus is saying, no, it is holding on to me and the truth that will set you free. So, in our culture today, there's so much of a emphasis on the outer and how you look, and what it's interesting to me, more and more in the last few years, I've seen people so waking up to this fact, even spiritually, how we've identified. I'm a Baptist, I'm a Pentecostal, I go to Assembly of God, I'm Catholic, and I'm always going to be Catholic or whatever. What people are discovering is that they've been so attached to that label that they have not done their own spiritual exploration. So I want to really encourage you, friends, to know that this truth that you seek has been within you all this time. This truth that you seek is the presence of God. It is the Christ. It is what was so fully known in Jesus. And I believe this is what we're called to live. Oh, Sean, did you find that scripture?
I did. Matthew 6, 19 and 20. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust consumes and where thieves do not break in and steal.
I'm telling you, that is truth right there. That is truth right there. So it's not like we don't have things. It's just we don't want to source in those things as the ultimate truth, right? I mean, to me, that Matthew scripture was all about, okay, no, it's about the kingdom of God. And over and over and over, we're told, seek ye first the kingdom and all these things will be added unto you. In the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament, we always hear, basically, obey God and you will be blessed, disobey God and you will be cursed. In other words, life gets better when you seek to live a spiritual life, living from your highest self. You limit the drama in your life. You limit people who bring your energy down into your life, and you focus on the good, on the holy. But friends, I want to talk about this idea of truth and living the truth. It's really interesting because a part of my journey has been not only spiritual, but it's been growing psychologically, mentally, emotionally. Even in my education, I'm constantly learning and growing, and I love to take courses. I've been, over the last few years, taken courses at a place called Assisi Institute, where I was studying to be an archetypal pattern analyst for about a year. And, I love to learn and grow. And what I really do see is the more we can tell the truth, this is so simple. The more we learn and grow, and the more we can tell the truth and be in our truth, the more free we are. The more free we are. So when Jesus said, you shall know the truth and the truth will set you free, of course, I think he was meaning the spiritual. I believe he was meaning to source in me, Jesus the Christ, and in God. But we also know on an emotional, on a mental, on a psychological level, this is true as well. Here's what I mean. I learned on my journey that there were things that I was not being honest with myself about. And as I grew spiritually, as I grew emotionally, I realized, you know what? I'm not telling the truth to myself. If I'm not telling the truth to myself, in some way, I'm still living a falsehood. In some way, I'm still overly identified with what people think, with what people feel. I'm overly identified with, what will happen if I say or do this. And, it was a place of freedom when I began to see, oh, if I can tell the truth to myself, that's a barrier I'm going to release. If I can tell the truth to myself, I can be more honest and authentic with the people I'm in friendship or relationship with, or even family. It was really interesting. I've been writing stories. I shared a few of them with Sean recently, and I've written stories about my childhood, my growing up, and most of them are quite funny. And I grew up in a real different way than so many people my age. More people my parents' age would have grown up more like this in general. But it's interesting because I shared it with my siblings, and it really caused one to be oh, what's the word, Sean? When you're thinking back, not like we kind of reminisced. Part of the stories like was bring up like a reminiscing, but it also caused him, interestingly, to reach out and apologize, which I had not. uh, it was super sweet. It was super sweet.
That's a
One
nice
of
effect of it.
it was. Well, so when I sent the stories to my siblings, I said, "Now, I love you all." And I said, I'm telling these stories. And I want you to remember they're only from my perspective. Right. So I felt like I had to like give some kind of caveat. I say, like, you may not have experienced mom and dad like this or granny, or, these may not be your experiences, but this is my experience. So I would love to share these with you. Keep in mind, that, and keep in mind that I'm telling him from the perspective of a young Southern girl. It's tales of a Southern girl, and this little kid voice of about 7 or 8 years old that is kind of telling this story, of what happened. And it was really interesting. I didn't even consider the one because I was just telling him, and the reason I'm telling all this is that telling the truth about that has been so freeing. Right? It was not anything I was keeping from anybody. I wasn't trying to pretend I was something I wasn't or anything. Part of my life was really extraordinary. The things I both experienced, some of which I would say I survived, like one with my oldest brother, which I'll share. And I've talked about him on the show before about how much I love him and everything. But anyway, I was little. I was about maybe 7 or 8, and we were coming down to Florida, and there was all this like liquor in the car. And anyway, a bottom line is, by the time we got to the beach, my brother was hammered. And in those days, you could rent little mini bikes on the beach. And so we rented a mini bike, and the guy would not let my brother drive. He was too drunk. So here I was about 7 or 8 years old, and he let me drive the bike, the mini bike motorcycle.
Oh man, that's great.
Gotta love the 70s,
Yeah, get on there.
He's
Get
like,
on there,
yeah,
kid.
well, if she can drive, that's fine, but you're not driving. So basically, I was the one driving, and he was shifting the gears. Well, I thought this was great fun at the time. And so he, recently reached out to me about the stories because it was a fact I couldn't remember the name of the hardware store down the street. And I was writing about that, the man who owned the hardware store and how I love to go in there and stuff. And he apologized. Like it was something like, sorry, I wasn't a great example as an older brother. It was so meaningful.
That's beautiful.
It was. And of course, I was not holding, I was not holding anything bad. Not at all.
It's just the story.
It was just a story. It was just what happened. Yeah, it was just what happened. But interestingly, totally healing.
Yeah.
And that was not, I wasn't trying to get right. I just told the truth. Yeah, I just told the truth. And it was so sweet. Of course, I just gave him grace. There was no, like I say, I had nothing bad to say about him at all. So it was really freeing to write the story. It was very freeing to get his I will call it an amends, and he's in recovery and has been for a really long time, probably 40 years now. He's been in recovery. Yep. So it was him that helped me know about Alcoholics Anonymous, about Al-Anon. I was at when he got his first chip at his first year. So, he's 70 years old now. So,
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible, his journey. So yeah, it was really interesting to be able to just be in the truth, telling the truth. And there's a statement in the recovery system that says secrets bring sickness. And it's very true. If my brother is over there feeling bad about stuff, well, then he might not contact me because he's feeling bad when he doesn't know I'm not feeling bad at all. And what was so great is that exchange really opened up a whole new connection with us. And all I did was tell the truth. And then he told the truth. And then I told the truth. It was like, that's why I'm saying the truth being told can be extremely freeing. And I already felt free anyway in that situation, but it really gave him a chance to, release some of that. And I did say, oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
After that apology, I said, oh, we were all doing the best we could. Please, all is well.
What a beautiful example. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then we could talk about our spiritual journey. He's a leader in his church. He's thinking about becoming a minister in retirement. I mean, he just, he loves Jesus. His son is a minister, so yes, his journey has been phenomenal, but we're all doing the best we can coming up. We all have this journey. So telling the truth is really, really healing. It really makes you free. And I feel like in our culture today, we see a lot of information, but not a lot of truth. And it's really, really simple. Yeah, it's really, really simple. I remember when Dave and I, Sean, who was my producer for so many years of the show, who is a dear friend and I dearly love. And when he and I sat down to talk about a next step on the show, like neither one of us wanted to say it first, but we were both like, well, is it time for a change? And it was like, oh, I wondered what you thought. And I wonder what you thought. And because I could see he didn't really have time. It was going a little bit different direction. And when that happens, something needs to shift. And I totally bless it because Dave is always going to be my friend. And that's fine. I mean, that's fine. And look at what that opened up for us. But we had to have first a conversation that was true, a conversation that was honest. Like, you're going this way and I'm going this way. What do we need to do? And wow, so freeing. And we were both like, oh, I didn't want to have to talk about this. We loved each other. And I was like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Okay, well, nobody's hurt because we just told the truth. And I want to say, told the truth in love. And the freedom that brings, friends, is unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I feel so lucky.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and he loves the show. I heard from him that it sounded great. And, excellent. Shannon, his wife, who's so supportive and still does my website and graphics and is super involved, with us and with me and my charitable corporation, that we'll always be friends. I'm sure I'll always have some form of connection with them. And if that changed, I'd bless that too. It's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay because we're all trying to live the truth in love. Yeah. And so really, friends, in this show today, I know I've said a lot. And for me, it's about number one, knowing Jesus. For me, Jesus is my master. I don't mind saying Jesus is my Messiah. Jesus is my master. He is my number one. And I've studied Jesus my whole life, and I don't know of any greater example. That said, I bless Buddhism, where I've learned a lot, and has virtually the same teachings as this. I bless Hinduism, that has been a real source of me understanding the soul and actually taught me about Jesus. When Jesus is saying the truth will set you free, he is meaning living from this highest spiritual standard that we call the Christ. You may call the Buddha or something else, but we call it the Christ. And that truth is in fact a key to spiritual wholeness. And my belief is a key to spiritual freedom in the real world and freedom in general, freedom of the emotion, freedom of even the personality, and freedom from this over identification with what we have and what we own, that it's so much bigger than that. Right? That is the truth that sets us free, is knowing our true nature. And when on a daily basis in our lives, in our families, when we can tell the truth, both to ourselves, like calling ourselves on our stuff, like getting some support and saying, I'm not even being honest with myself, or, maybe I need to have a conversation that's hard, but I'm really guided to do it. That even telling those kind of truths, when we tell those truths in love, there is a real possibility for healing. There's real possibility for connection, and there's certainly hope to live a better life and have more freedom and growth on the journey. So, friends, I really hope, I'll say our hope, I'm going to include Sean in this. Our hope and prayer is that we all begin to live the truth from the highest spiritual awareness, that we tell the truth in love, and again, bring growth and freedom on the journey. This is what we want for you. This is what we desire for ourselves. And this is one of the reasons we do the show. We want to support you. We want to lift you up, and to know the truth will set you free, my friends. So we are wishing you well on this journey, always here to support you. And again, thank you for your support back. I know so many of you do tithe to the show because you feel spiritually lifted and supported, and we thank you for that from the bottom of our hearts, dear friends. So we look forward to seeing you in person. Would love to see you again on the new network, Soulworks, and we'll see you next week. Blessings on the journey, friends.
Happy 4th of July.
All right, happy 4th.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2024 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Sean Kilgore. A production of the Soulworks Group, Incorporated.